in my high school that I work at, I deal primarily with behavioral issues. You'll find out that there are issues at home. There are issues with housing. They're feeling the stress of their parents not being able to meet bills. I've dealt with students before that have had, electricity cut on, and their family is still living in that house or that apartment, and they're living by candlelight.
A household is considered cost-burdened if more than 30% of its annual income is spent on housing costs. Because of the high cost of housing in Rhode Island, many families have to pay more for their housing than they can afford. When a family has to spend so much on housing, they are forced to make difficult choices about their other essential household expenses like food, childcare, or healthcare. When this lack of housing affordability forces working families to choose between their essential household expenses, they cannot participate as fully in the state's economy. While urban areas show the highest percentage, housing cost burden is present among renter and homeowner households alike and across income groups. Rhode Islanders in every community are struggling.
If you're going to take the SATs or you're going to take the GREs, what they always tell you is make sure you get a good night's rest, make sure that you eat before you come in to take this test. And folks who don't get that rest, that nutrition that they need, there are studies that show that they don't score as high as people who do. Now, imagine if it wasn't for a test, but it was your daily life before you go into school. So when you go into that school day, Monday through Friday, your focus isn't going to be as sharp as it should be or as it could be, because when you get out after those 6-7 hours of school, you're going to have to go back to the house where there are issues with the amount of people in your home, whether you're going to have electricity, where you're going to have heat, whether you're going to be evicted, if there's going to be a lock on your door when you get there. If you don't have those stresses, you're going to accelerate. But if you do on a daily basis, the odds are disproportionately against you.
And then also thinking about when people have to spend so much of their income on housing, what else they can't do, when they have to start prioritizing, do I give my family 1 meal or 2 meals a day? Do I have health insurance? Do we have access to transportation? Can we have a car?
I'm Nancy. I worked at Citizens Bank for the last 20 years before I retired. Before that, I found jobs for the handicapped. I own my own home, which is nice. You worry about the maintenance, as you get older. The house and I were created in October of 1933, so that makes us 82. And I'll lie there at night listening to the creaks and groans of the pipes, just like mine, and I say, hang on a few more years, friend.
In the year 2000, in the state of Rhode Island, 27% of homeowners and 37% of renters were cost-burdened. By the year 2013, those numbers had swelled to 36% and 51%.
As the second largest employer in the state of Rhode Island, we want to be sure that there is just that, safe and affordable housing for all our current as well as prospective employees. We definitely want our employees to come to work energized and focused on our mission, but there's certainly issues that our employees struggle with every day that we may not even know about. Many of our hospitals are in urban areas. If there's not appropriate housing local to or proximate to our hospitals, that creates an issue for us bringing talent in at the entry level, and certainly beyond that.
Unattractive housing markets have a negative impact on the economy. When family housing is discouraged, it leads to fewer families living in the community. Fewer families mean a higher cost of education, which further contributes to the negative cycle of the unattractive housing market.
One of our natural resources that we have in the state is all the great colleges and universities that we have. We're graduating thousands of students yearly. We need to be thinking about housing options for them if we're going to reverse the brain drain of a lot of our young talent leaving.
One of the biggest issues for us is as people come out of school with crushing student loans, it inhibits their ability to focus on the job present. These people are just entering the workforce with wonderful credential and enthusiastic and new eyes, and those are the employees we want. But if they come to us so heavily burdened, there's only so much we can do.
Many millennials have the dream of owning a home and putting down roots in the community. But many feel it is just that, a dream, and not an achievable goal. For millennials and nearly a quarter of first-time homebuyers, saving money for a down payment is a great challenge when low salaries are already stretched thin between high housing costs and crushing student loan debt.
Families all live together. For example, you'll have 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, 13 people in the same house where people can help pay the bills in terms of the electric bill, the gas bill. If you own the house, you're looking at water and sewage bills, paying the rent, mortgage payments. So you have a large family collective that comes together to basically try to survive.
Born in a Thailand refugee camp. We migrated here to the United States. We got sponsored here. Ended up in a couple states and finally in Rhode Island. We were put in the West End, and we didn't know that it was a gang neighborhood, and we didn't know how poor it was, and we didn't know how hard life was going to be until we actually lived there for some years. Since we grew up that way, we didn't know anything else, and we thought that was normal. And I didn't find out that we were struggling until I moved into a school that had affluent kids in it. So our mind stays within this one realm of being comfortable with being poor or struggling or whatever it is, and that's just not right. It's wrong to grow up thinking that's the norm. I mean, it's true, you want to be able to afford a house, but a house that you want to live in the environment you want to live in. My parents was trying to make better for me, I'm trying to make better for my daughter, and so on and so forth. So the step for me is to move up and not down and not be stagnant. There's a lot of variables that go into finding a house or where to live. But where I want to live, I want to make sure it's safe and the environment is there. Me, myself, as a father, I feel like that is something that is important to a child. A home, room. We're not talking about anything extravagant, just something that's not a house, but a home. Two different things.
So building housing costs a certain amount of money. And so really, it's just sitting down to figure out how do you put enough resources into this housing so that at the end of the day, the price point can be affordable in the marketplace. So I think the best opportunity is for everyone to put their best thinking on as to how do we harness the resources to do this on more of a scale.
There just has to be a way to make a home more affordable for everyone.